What was that? There we go. It is Ray Wednesday. I don't like to clap too loud because then I feel like I'm clapping in your ear. But if I clap too quiet, then it's just sad and pathetic. We're back with Ray Wednesday, and I have an announcement. This might be the last Ray Wednesday for a while, unfortunately. And that is because I'm investing my time and energy into these, and I do appreciate it. I feel like I'm learning. I feel like I have to keep up with world news and I have to think about things in a different way. But I just don't know. I just don't know about the time commitment here. I spent a while making the presentation for last video and I was interested in it. I was hyped for it, and we have received thus far 0 views from it. So all in all, I mean, if this happens again, if I just get 0 views, then I might consider putting my time elsewhere on Wednesdays and just kind of keeping this in the back of my head because things are happening. I had a very important day today, and I am tired because I didn't get my 8 hours of sleep, which I really like getting, and I didn't get my 8 hours of sleep because I'm doing 15 million things, and this is just another thing that's added onto the pile that I worry about every single week. And for the first time in many years, if I let go of this channel, if I just took a break from it, that would be it. I would no longer, it would be one less thing to worry about. Which is weird to think about. But anyway, let's actually get into Ray Wednesday. Yeah, it's not goodbye yet. I'll pull out a few more tricks up my sleeve, and then if this video has 0 views, then I don't know. I don't know. Maduro kidnapped. Yes, I am, what, 6 weeks late now? 8 weeks late now to the news. Now, I did cover this about a week after it happened, but I wanted to update my take on this because recently I've been looking into what makes countries unstable, what makes civil wars happen, what makes countries tick, what are the problem areas here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this case and we're going to do a little inspection. And let's start out by just doing a little annotation here. And we're going to block out Google because I'm not paid by them. They're not sponsoring me. But basically, we're just going to make a little pyramid. Okay? Now, there's the level 1 takes and there's the level 2 takes. And these are the first takes that we're going to talk about. So basically, when we're looking into this, what I'll do is I'll just look up black. Wonderful. That's Blackwater. My favorite corporation. Private military. That's what we need. We need to have a military that we pay for. Oh my gosh. That would fix America. It's a joke. And we're going to capture. And then we're going to... Boom. Okay. So, this is going to be our little pyramid here. And we'll start off like this. Okay, so here's level 1 of the pyramid. Level 1 we'll call MAGA. And that is because this is the knee-jerk reaction now in the political sphere. Is Donald Trump will do something like kidnap Nicolas Maduro, and they will just say, yay, it's very nice. Kidnapping dictators is our favorite pastime. And essentially their thought process is, as long as we're kidnapping dictators, you know, Trump is going to fix it up. Trump is the greatest kidnapper, and he might actually be the greatest kidnapper, and he is going to fix it up. Everything's going to be great. He's going to fix up the country. They're going to drill some oil. The U.S. will get something out of it, and we'll all be dandy. Okay, great. There's a million things I could say. Not a million. That's an exaggeration. There's a large amount of things I could say about each one of those points. But we're just going to shelter some of those deep level points for now. And instead of going to level 4 on this pyramid, we're just going to go to level 2. Okay, so now what always happens is there is a knee-jerk reaction among MAGA, and they say, you know what, kidnapping Nicolas Maduro, it was great. It was fantastic. And then on the flip side of that, they say, the Democrats come around, and they say, well, look at this. Machado got the Peace Prize. And then, after Machado got the Peace Prize, Donald Trump comes in, starts breaking things, invades Venezuela, and then he basically gets the Peace Prize from Machado, who rightfully earned it. You know, maybe you think that somebody else should have won, but she did earn it, you know? So, the level 2 reaction is, you know what? He took the Peace Prize. He's taking the oil. He's Peace Prize. Peace. Well, prize doesn't fit. He's taking the oil. He's taking. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's kidnapping people. You can't just kidnap dictators. It doesn't work out. Bad man. Bad Trump. He's just doing it for the oil. And also, you can't just kidnap different world leaders. And on top of that, if we're still talking about level 2, some of these Democrats might respond by saying that, oh, well, if you look at a country like Chile in South America, America got involved in this, and we did a bunch of CIA shenanigans, and the country was worse off for it. So this will be another Chile situation, and it's all going to come collapsing down. Okay, great. So some of this is true, some of this is false. Now, the Peace Prize. This is probably the most important thing in terms of Donald Trump's eyes. He probably saw that Peace Prize and he thought, you know what, I might be able to get a Peace Prize out of this. So, you swapped from doing Civ to political commentary? Also, what is level 3? We're getting to level 3. And yes, I do political commentary now. I warned you. I put it in the description that I might become a political YouTuber one day. And now we're there. It has happened. All right. So, basically, what we're talking about is we're talking about the wonderful levels of kidnapping dictators. And why kidnapping Nicolas Maduro is wrong is my conclusion. I'll lurk and listen. Sounds fantastic. So, going back to our glorious leader, Donald Trump, our glorious dictator. So, if we look at the Peace Prize, this was one of his main concerns, in my eyes, was he really wanted the Peace Prize. And the reason is, if he gets the Peace Prize, then he probably believes that he could start just about any war that he wants to, and he can use the Peace Prize as something of a shield. The problem is this greatly backfired among his Republican base, and even they understand that you can't get a participation award Peace Prize. That's not how it works. And so he can't even really claim to have won the Peace Prize. But it's my belief that Donald Trump really wants the Peace Prize just so that he can say that he is the greatest peacemaker in the world, and then if he starts a war, he says, oh, well, you know, I'm a peacemaker. If I start a war, I had to start the war. That's my thinking on the Trump level. I also think that he is pulled in different directions by maybe the oil barons and also the military. Okay, right, so let's go to level 3. So, again, level 1 is MAGA, yay, Trump is amazing, he's going to work it out. Level 2 is, no, Trump bad. You know, knee-jerk reaction, Trump bad. Simple. Okay, let's actually start thinking about this, because we could just say, oh, he wants it for the Peace Prize, that's it. He invaded Venezuela for it. But let's actually think about this for a second, because if we can just kidnap dictators, and if that is a possibility, well, then maybe we should consider that, if it's a good option, okay? So let's forget about the Peace Prize. Let's say that instead of kidnapping dictators for a Peace Prize, we're doing it for noble purposes, okay? Well, would that be all right? Can we kidnap world leaders for noble purposes? Let's think about it. So, I might need to expand this wonderful thing, which I can do if I... There's no way, right? This has never been done before. Can we make another one? Oh my gosh. We're making slides. Oh, and it just destroyed the last one. That's okay. All right, great. So, you know, we've got the different levels. 1, 2, 3. It didn't work out. Okay. Fantastic. So now we're at point 3. So now we have some things to respond to. The peace prize is out of here because we are just going to forget that for a second. Forget about Donald Trump. Okay? And we're going to really consider, can you just kidnap dictators? Because here's the thing. When Nicolas Maduro was kidnapped, the population of Venezuela was actually happy. There were interviews done, and the people living in Venezuela were basically celebrating that this dictator was gone. Their lives were terrible. Their opportunity had disappeared. Corruption was rampant because they needed different ways of paying for basic needs like food. And the only way that they could do this was through corruption. So if they wanted food, then they would have to bribe people. If they wanted to live, they would have to engage in corruption. So the population was happy because of the kidnapping. And then on top of that, okay, so yes, Donald Trump did reinstate Machado in Venezuela. And you might say that he got a peace prize for reinstating Machado, but let's say that he didn't. Let's say that Trump was just a benevolent dictator. Trump was a benevolent dictator, and he said, you know what? I'm going to reinstate Machado in Venezuela because she is pro-democracy. And over here, we like democracy. Democracy is huge and amazing, and there are some problems, but it's the best we got. Okay, well, that's fantastic. We got democracy in Venezuela. We got rid of a dictator. The population is happy. I mean, this is the greatest outcome, right? And then you might say, oh, well, what about in the future? Because we've done similar things before when we liberated other countries, maybe in the Little East. Amazing. This is what happened. Bro, I'm genuinely so tired today. Anyway, liberating other countries in the Middle East. The people were happy at first, but then over time, things started to break down and get worse. So you might say that this is just another Middle East situation. This is why it's not going to work out. Okay, well, that's not necessarily good political analysis because you can't just say that, oh, this country is going to be like Iran or Iraq and the same problems will happen over again and then it's just not going to work out. You don't just get to say that this is how it is and it's not going to work out. So we have to genuinely think about it. Do we have America dipping too far and going too far? Okay, let's consider this, okay? If you're truly a Democrat, now we're considering both sides here, all right? We're considering all of the possibilities of kidnapping dictators. We've gone beyond Republican-Democrat divides. We're really thinking about this. What about Donald Trump? What if Donald Trump becomes a dictator, okay? It is possible. Especially if it is true that he is in the Epstein files, which he is. File 133216. Yes, I am tired, but I still remember the numbers. Now, that file has largely been scraped, but if you would like to go back on one of my videos, I show that file on stream. I don't know where the file went. It was on the DOJ website, and it was released in 2024. But he is mentioned more times in the files than God is in the Bible. Something like that, yes. He is in the files. Anyway, we know that he was engaged in this. We know that for a fact. And also, on top of that, some people are saying that, oh, well, he was a double agent. Okay, our glorious leader, Donald Trump, has admitted to sexually harassing people live on air. On the, how did I forget his name? Mike Stern. Not Mike Stern. Who is... No, I have to figure this out now. I can't just be out here accusing people of... It's not Mike Stern. Who is this guy? Beauty pageants. Who knows how to spell beauty pageant? Locker room. Podcast. Help me, somebody. We're gonna find it. CNN. CNN. Podcast. Okay. Howard Stern, that's his name. All right, anyway, if you're interested, go to the Howard Stern show thing. Donald Trump openly admits to sexually harassing people. So he's not the best double agent, right? He's not the best double agent we got on the case. But apparently he was a double agent, according to many people who still support Donald Trump. Okay, whatever. Let's say that he's in the file. Just pretend with me for a second. Even if you don't believe me, just pretend. Okay, well then he might likely go down a more authoritarian route. He might become a dictator. So then the question is, if kidnapping dictators is good, well then what if the EU wants to kidnap Donald Trump? I mean, if kidnapping dictators is fine, well then maybe the EU should come in, maybe China should come in, and they should just take him away, right? If he's in the files and he becomes a dictator, I mean, he is just as bad as Maduro, if not worse, and he should not be running America. Okay. That's level 3 concluded. Is not only is the Venezuela situation good, and we're going to fix that, and we're going to get democracy, and it's all going to work out. On top of that, the Donald Trump situation is bad, and we got to kidnap him. Okay, that's level 3. All right. Now, let's go to level 4. Is kidnapping Donald Trump the best option? And here's what I'm going to say. No. As much as it pains me to say it, I don't think that we should. I don't think that the EU should kidnap Donald Trump. And here's my reasoning why. Basically, this is foreign meddling. And yes, simply put, it will end up in a very similar situation as the Middle East has. And here's why. It is because of a concept called anocracy. Now, I'm going to be totally 100% honest with you. This is from a book that I am still reading. I have not finished the book, but I needed to do Ray Wednesday, and we're going to do Ray Wednesday, okay? So I'm going to teach you about anocracy, whether I finish the book or not. I am going to finish the book. If I'm completely and totally wrong, then I'll update you. But so far, it seems pretty valid. So here's the scale that we have, okay? We've got democracy on one side. Amazing. And we've got dictatorships on the other side. This should really be authoritarian states, but dictatorships. Okay, great. So we've got this beautiful scale, and this is in the book, all right? So right over here, we've got beautiful democracy. When we're in this stage, the threat of civil war is very unlikely. Basically, it just doesn't happen very often. It does happen, but not as often. And then when you're in the dictatorship stage, there is essentially no threat of civil war. They do happen, but dictatorships just have an iron grip on the citizens. Well, they're technically not citizens, they're subjects. But dictators have an iron grip on their country. And so the civil war is not going to break out. If any militia happens, anything along those lines, they're going to crush them. And then in a democracy, people feel as though they can state their case. They feel as though if they're wronged, the media will help them. So in these two states, we're going to say checkmark good. I'm even going to do green over here. We're getting fancy. We really are. And I'm going to erase everything. Okay. So, boom, green. Now, I'm not saying that dictatorships are good. I'm just saying that for the time being, keep in mind that dictatorships essentially do not have civil war. Okay, why is this civil war point important? Well, civil war is on the rise in the past century, and it is just about one of the worst possible things that can happen to a country. You might think that losing free speech is the worst possible thing that can happen. You might think that losing infrastructure is the worst possible thing that can happen. Well, let me tell you this. If a civil war happens, you're losing your free speech and you're losing your infrastructure, and you're in the middle of a war, and war crimes are no longer a problem because the United Nations doesn't, nobody's helping you in a civil war. And it's basically families fighting each other. Families, relatives, friends. They're terrible, especially in the 21st century. Because previously, it used to be that with a civil war, you had one section of the country fighting another section of the country. Okay? There's a clash going on. And this would be, this purple line, this would be, you're embarrassing me right now. You're embarrassing me. Where's my highlighter? Come on. We're live right now. Help me out here. We'll make the board. What is the purple? Okay, this purple line is the border. Okay, and on this side you have the red states, and on this side you have the blue states. This is the USA. Can't you recognize it? Okay, great. So you have fighting across the states like this. This no longer really happens in the 21st century. Now you've got cities like this, and they're surrounded by the rural areas. So if a civil war happens, it's more like this. And you might think, oh, this is very bad for the blue area, but the blue area is still industrialized. So it's complicated. Civil wars are extremely complicated in the 21st century. Plus, they largely revolve around modern systems. And so if there's asymmetry involved in... Anyway, okay, I'm not explaining all the war strategy involved. What I'm trying to explain is that civil wars are absolutely terrible and horrendous. The war crimes are insane. I have read UN reports. I would prefer it if nobody had to know about the atrocities of civil war, but I think that it's important that you know about the atrocities of civil war so that you will want to prevent them because they are horrendous. It is basically a coin flip which side wins. It's not about who's right or who's wrong. It's just pure, utter destruction. And the sexual crimes are insane. These sexual crimes are not just towards women. They also include the children. And not just the children, but also the boys. Not just the girls, but also the boys. And not just the boys and the girls and the women, but the toddlers. I'm telling you, the United Nations reports on civil wars are absolutely horrific. They are one of the worst possible things that can happen. On top of that, they destroy infrastructure. I'm a big believer in infrastructure. I know that you might think that infrastructure is less important than what I just talked about, but infrastructure is vital. They also destroy free speech. You basically can't have free speech during a civil war. It just doesn't happen. Even during the American Civil War, there wasn't really free speech. Okay, so we don't want civil war. So why am I talking about this? Well, because we're in level 4 now, all right? Level 1 is kidnap. Got to remind you where we are. Level 2, no kidnap. Level 3, we're back to kidnap. And we're back to kidnap because some people probably want Donald Trump kidnapped. Okay, now level 4, no, it's not going to work. Not going to happen. And here's why. As soon as you kidnap Donald Trump, you put America in this weird state, okay? Because if we have a dictator and we start heading towards democracy, well, guess what? At some point, we're not going to be in an actual democracy. We're going to be getting there, but we're going to be in this in-between state called anocracy. Of all of the metrics that there are on civil war, being in an anocracy is one of the greatest predictors. In fact, it might be the single greatest predictor of civil war, okay? If you are in a democracy, again, civil war, unlikely. Dictatorship, unlikely. Anocracy, that's where it happens. And I'm telling you, civil war is one of the worst things that can happen. So you don't want to be in this stage. So if somebody decides to kidnap this dictator, they're going to put America in an anocracy, and then we'll be ripe for a civil war. Okay, Basically, all in all, statistically, measurably, factually, kidnapping leaders is wrong. It's too much meddling. Also, we should just consider the fact that Donald Trump probably did it for oil, to raise the military budget, and to steal the Nobel Peace Prize. Not good reasons, but not even considering that. Even doing it for benevolent reasons because you truly believe in democracy, even that is just not good enough because it doesn't work. Anytime that you try to take a country from dictatorship to democracy, there's always going to be this in-between stage, and that's when civil wars happen. In places like Syria, in other places, and in other places, that's what we'll say. So, embarrassing that I didn't have that ready off the top of my head. Okay. Is that it for today? I think that's it for today. Now, you might think that America skipped this stage when we invaded Venezuela because we just put Machado in place. Not necessarily. They're still very shaky. Okay? And even if we did, that would only prove that if you want to invade a country and steal their dictator, well, then you have to have somebody invading who is going to put in some sort of person who favors democracy afterwards. And then on top of that, it doesn't, no, it's not going to work. Venezuela was such a very special situation, and even then, it's still very shaky. And it's just rolling the dice. And you don't want to roll the dice. You want to build robust systems and infrastructure. That's the conclusion of this video. And I've already talked about this Venezuela situation before. It's extremely interesting to me, so I might talk about it again. But yes, this is why I believe that Donald Trump should not be kidnapped. As much as I'm not a fan of the guy. For now. For now, I believe that. But if I finish the book, I mean, who knows? Who knows what could happen by the end of this book? Okay, great. That's it for today. We're done. I might be back next week. I might not. Who knows? We'll see. Peace.